Greg Grunberg.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I want to hear. Come on, this is the greatest. Is this not the best ever for sports fans? So I just want to run down how this happened, right? This is the greatest moment ever because we're premiering a documentary about the greatest baseball player to ever play the game, Pete Rose, the hit king, Charlie Hustle. He's right up there. Let him hear you. So I just want to give you a brief history of how this happened, okay? So my producing partner is Jeff Lankoff. If you don't know Jeff Lankoff, let's hear it for Jeff. Jeff is the greatest. Brilliant, tenacious, so smart, but he really cares. And we were both massive fans of Pete Rose growing up, and it's been a long time. And Jeff always said, we're not going to stop until Pete Rose is back in baseball and gets into the Hall of Fame. That's what Jeff's mission. So he tells me this, and I'm like, 100%. But we need to tell his story. Can we tell the story? And Pete agreed. And when you have the greatest hitter of all time that agrees, you have to put together the greatest team. As Pete says in the doc, he says it's not about you so much as who's in front of you and who's behind you. That's what is going to lead to your success. So I knew I had to build a great team. So Jeff and I reached out to who I thought, and I still think, is the greatest filmmaker of all time, also my kindergarten pal, J.J. Abrams. And he picked up the phone, which is odd. And I said, J.J., what do you think of this? And he was like, are you kidding me? Can we do this? And he unleashed Bad Robot. And Bad Robot, Rachel, thank you so much. The whole team at Bad Robot, let's hear it for them. Unbelievable. And then they said, guess what we're working with? The greatest documentary filmmakers in the game. Award-winning, absolutely incredible. We're talking about Zipper Brothers. We're talking about Glenn Zipper and Sean Stewart. They're here. Unbelievable. And their whole team, and Marin, and then Chris came aboard, and we knew we were onto something, but we didn't have a director. And Glenn said, there's a guy, and he's gonna be the GOAT. And he's in docs, and he's just unbelievable. He hasn't directed yet. But we can get him. I think he's a massive Pete Rose fan. I think he's a massive obviously a great storyteller, and a big baseball fan. And we got Mark Monroe. Where's Mark? Yes! So Mark comes aboard, he brings his team, James Leche, who was our editor, unbelievable, and we're off to the races. But we needed a place to partner with. And once again, the word greatest comes into play. We partnered with the greatest place to have a doc, and that is HBO. Can we please hear it for HBO Sports? Bentley, Captain, your team is incredible. It's been absolutely just an honor to work with you, and I really mean this. Even down to everybody that organized even this. It's just a dream. It's a dream that we're here. So then we needed a place to premiere it. And look where we are. I mean, this is the greatest in baseball, premiering his story at a festival created by the greatest in basketball and his partners. I mean, Maverick Carter, LeBron James, everybody at Uninterrupted. Tribeca, thank you so much. I was at the Star Wars premiere, okay? This is much better, much better. But the biggest thank you of all has to go to Mr. Rose. Pete Rose, the hit king, Charlie Hustle. Pete, I know you're up there. I can't see you. I'm sure you can see me. By the way, I would also be remiss if I didn't mention another GOAT that's in the building. He's in the documentary. He makes the documentary so great. And he's going to be up on the stage after we screen the first episode. Please give it up for Al Michaels, everybody. Yeah. Al, you're the best. But a big thank you, huge thank you, most important thank you, Pete, thank you for taking this journey with us. Thank you for opening up your life and for the amazing moments that you have allowed us access to. Thank you for trusting Jeffrey, dealing with the MLB, and hopefully that works out. You have to watch the doc to find out. Thank you for answering all the tough questions. This is your story, Pete. All of it. Hard-hitting, controversial, heartwarming. Thank you for trusting us, for being vulnerable, gracious, funny, unpredictable, and amazing. One of my favorite parts is watching you wolf down 4 Skyline chili dogs. I mean, that's Pete Rose right there, buddy. But I really, really cannot thank you enough. It's been an incredible journey for me, and hopefully we're all going to be doing this a lot more. But again, Uninterrupted, thank you so much. Without further ado, you're going to see the trailer, Uninterrupted trailer, then you can see our trailer, and then you guys are going to see something that's not dropping until the 24th of July. On HBO, you'll see 2 episodes, 1 and 2. On Max, all 4 on the 24th. But the trailer's out there. If you like what you see, please share it. It's already getting a lot of buzz and a lot of talk, and it's well-deserved. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Hustle and the Matter of Pete Rose.
Friends and fans, please welcome to the stage, Director Mark Monroe. Pete Rose.
Sit down. Be humble. Sit down.
And Al Michaels.
Yeah.
Sit down. Be humble. Sit down. Be humble. Sit down. Who that thinking that he frontin' on women? Nice day. I'm the Senate.
Between Pete's knees, my back. You're okay though?
I'm okay.
I'm okay, thank you. We got the disabled list up here. I loved it.
AstroTurf, it's called, AstroTurf.
There you go. That's part of it. Otherwise known as cement painted green, right? Anyway, congratulations. I thought it was fantastic. There's 3 more episodes to follow on HBO. Mark, let me start with you. What was your vision when you started this? What you want to get, and how close did you come to getting what you wanted?
I think, first of all, I got to say thank you to Uninterrupted and the whole staff here. And I do have to say, what an honor it is to be sitting up here with a couple of goats. I don't know about you guys, but my entire childhood is wrapped up in either in watching Pete do amazing things on the baseball diamond, or most of my sports memories are just guided by Al's voice. Even the heartbreaks. I got to tell you, it's unbelievable for me to be here.
You knew that Al came to Cincinnati for many years.
That's why I called
Yeah.
him.
And actually, him and I, this is God's honest truth, we went to 3 different racing facilities in one frickin' day. Am I telling the truth?
But we started this is spring training, and of course Pete had to get his hitting in. We had a day off, 1972 I think it was. We started Florida Downs, horse racing, in the tire card. We go to the dog track in St. Petersburg, stay for the entire card. We weren't finished yet though, because we were in St. Petersburg, we're training in Tampa, we're going back to the hotel, you cross the Gandy Bridge, and what's at the end of the Gandy Bridge? A highlight fronton, right? So who's there for the double? Pete comes home, he's got $1,000 in his pocket. We were with a sports writer, Bob Herzl, who came back with $1.40.
Right.
And that was our we call it the Holy Trinity.
Yes.
Horses, dogs, and highlight.
Hey, I finally found somebody I could blame my gambling problem on you.
It took all of these years.
God damn, Al. Come on.
Absolutely. But Mark, you knew you had to ask the tough questions and everything.
Yeah.
So that's got to be one of the toughest things that you have to do as a director. Give us a couple of examples of what you had to go. You had to go to certain places, and how hard that was.
Again, I thank you, Pete, for not jumping out of your chair a few times. I thought you might.
That's because I can't.
I will say to your first question, I got more than I ever could have imagined. When we first talked about doing this, of course, COVID was still kind of raging. We had a Zoom, and one of the first things I asked Pete was if everything was on the table, and he said to me literally, "You can ask me anything you want to ask me, and I'll answer." And he held true. It was amazing over many years, over many discussions, He, got in the box and took the fastballs, so it was good.
Pete, what was it, what did you want to get out of this and why did you agree to do it?
I don't know, just cooperation. I could talk all night about baseball. I love the game today. The players are so good today. And I know I was at a function a couple weeks ago, and I took questions from the audience. And the guy stood up and he said, "What do you think you'd hit if you were playing today?" So I thought for a moment, and I said, "I don't know, 180, 185? He said, "Well, pitching's really that good?" I said, "No, you dumbass, I'm 83 years old."
185 can get you into an all-star game this year. You know what I'm talking about. I'll tell you another big difference. So the first year I go to Cincinnati, I meet Pete, and he's holding out in spring training. He's holding out for, I think, $112,500. And Bob Hauser, who had the last time he ever saw us or earned, Bob Hauser offered you 105, and I think he signed for 107.5. So Pete played 162 games, most of the spring training games, he missed some, for a grand total of $107,500. Shohei Ohtani, tonight, in Philadelphia, in one game, made $432,000.
God bless you.
It's crazy. The game is so different.
My first year, which was 63, I was rookie of the year. My salary was $7,000 a year. I got more than that in my goddamn pocket right now. $7,000 a year for playing 162 games. It wasn't that long ago, 63. I guess it was a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah. And I won rookie of the year, and I got a $5,000 raise, all the way up to 12.5. Then I went to 24. Then I went to 36. Then I went to 46. Then I went to 55. Then I went to 85. Then I went to 150. Then I went to 350. Then I went to $500,000. Then I went to $1 million. Then I retired.
Sounds like an auction.
Yeah.
Sounds like he keeps track of his money.
Look, as somebody who was there for 3 years, and I was a little young, I was the same age as most of the players, so they were my buddies at that time. Tommy Holmes, Johnny, the whole thing, Tony Perez. The thing about Pete, when I used to drive to the game, we were at home, I would park the car outside the clubhouse, go right in there, and I had to go by Pete's locker, because at Pete's locker was an energy field. I mean, you just felt it. You just felt it. And that rubbed off on the entire team. And that whole team, I think, fed off of Pete. And of course, that story that you saw is so true in the playoffs in 1973, the day after the Rose Harrelson fight. He is the all-time villain of Gotham. We have the police outside of the hotel, two security guys in front of every door upstairs where we were at the Biltmore Hotel. And the next day, this was a spirited, lively team, good sense of humor, most of the guys. And we drove out to Shea Stadium the next day, quietest ride ever. This team that had won 99 games, and the Mets had won 82 games, is now one game away from going home. And Pete got up in front of that bus, and not a word was said until we got to the Shea Stadium gate, throwing eggs, throwing everything, signs, the whole thing. Screw you. And Pete got up there in front of the bus, he looks back at the team and he goes, "Do or die, do or fucking die." And what happened? One of the most dramatic home runs in the history of baseball. In the 12th inning, the game tied 1-1. The man had 3 hits in the game, the Reds had a total of 8. What do you remember about that?
Well, that was one of the deals, Al. I think you'll agree that I wasn't playing against the Mets. I was playing against the city of New York. And they were Met fans, no question about it. And, I took Buddy Harrelson was a teammate of mine in Phillies. And I just broke up a double play and he called me a name that I can't repeat tonight. And I kind of grabbed him and Wayne Garrett come running in there and started the melee. But just winning the game in the 12th inning is big in a playoff game. No question about it. I got a funny story to tell you. I think it's a little off color, but it's funny. What are you gonna do, suspend me?
Get ready.
Okay, Tony Perez is one of my best friends. Okay, I met Tony Perez a day after I graduated from high school in 1960. I was one day out of high school and I went to Geneva, New York, and he was a month out of Cuba. That's how long I've known Tony Perez, since 1960. Okay, and I remember the first week I made Cincinnati and Tony was on the team. And I'll never forget it. Tony went in there to the clubhouse and he went in the restroom and took a shit. Okay? I swear to God, ladies and gentlemen, he did a turd this long. The clubhouse guy put a sign on the outside, please don't flush world's longest turd. And it was in there 3 days. That's my Tony Perez story. That freaking long.
So you can see
How
what I had
good
to
that
work
must have felt.
You can see what I had to
Now,
work
everybody in this thing's gonna be thinking about Tony Perez when they take a shit tomorrow. No question about it.
I don't know where to go after that. I mean, you left me freaking speechless. Anyway.
That's a true story.
It's true. In other news, here's the other thing. Let me just finish up what happened the day he hit the home run to beat the Mets. We go to a fifth game and wind up losing, and the Mets go on to the World Series, as it turned out, in '73. I'll never forget him sitting across the bus, across the aisle from you, on the way back to the hotel. And I said to you, I said, try to put into words what you're thinking about when you know the ball is gone over the right field fence at Shea. And you said to me, you know, when you're around first, you can look into our bullpen, which was back of left field. And you said, the Mets have Staub and Milner coming up, 2 left-handed batters. In the bottom of the 12th, Sparky better get Tom Hall, our lefty reliever, up in the bullpen. That was astonishing to me. Here you are, you just lived the moment that every kid dreams about, right? You took the city of New York and flushed them down Tony Perez's toilet. And all you're thinking about is what a manager would think about.
Yeah.
How would you, and of course, Pete managed for a number of years in Cincinnati. How would you rate yourself as a manager? How good were you?
Good. I mean, I won a hell of a lot more games than I lost. But all managing is, ladies and gentlemen, is handling people. Because there's only 3 ways you can treat a person. Pat him on the butt, kick him in the butt, or leave him alone. Don't pat the guy in his kicks. Don't kick the guy in his left alone. If you're going to ask him to go to war for you every night, you're going to know what makes him tick. Sparky was the best at that. Sparky understood people. You know that, Al. He understood people. He didn't treat me like Bench. He didn't treat Bench like Morgan or Morgan like Perez. He treated us all individually. And they got the most out of us. That's why we won so darn many games. I mean, you got to have a good boss. And he was the boss. And when he came to Cincinnati, he was the third base coach for San Diego the year before. Everybody said, Sparky, who? Hey, he woke them all up because we won several championships. But you got to remember one thing. I tell people this every day. Okay? A manager, a coach, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, or baseball, is only as good as his players. Only as good as his players. If you've got horseshit players, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. It's hard to win with great players. And there's too many managers that think that they know everything. Nobody knows everything. But the most managers that will have success are the managers that know their personnel the best. That can get the most out of their personnel. Does that make any sense?
Makes sense to me.
I mean, it's the truth. I've seen it year after year after year, and I really worked on getting along with my players. Not kissing their ass, but getting along with them. If you have to yell at them, you got to yell at them. If you have to kiss them, kiss them. It's okay. You want them to bust their ass for you. It's the only way you win is people busting their ass. It's not rocket science. It's It's really not rocket science. Too many people make it too difficult. Okay? Sure, you gotta bring the right pitcher in at the right time. You gotta send the right pinch hitter up at the right time. And if I send Al up to hit and he strikes out, I was a dumbass. If he hits a home run, I was a genius. That's just the way sports are. Does that make any sense?
It does make sense. Pete, I asked you this, and I want to ask you again tonight. You obviously were managing when the gambling scandal came down and you were put on the permanently ineligible list. The next year, the Reds, they go to the World Series. You know all those players.
With my team.
I'm just wondering
1990,
if you could put into words what it felt like to watch these young kids who you knew very well, you knew who needed a pat, you knew who needed a kick, to see them perform.
Well, that was one of them deals when I was down I was in prison at USP Marion, and I'm watching the World Series on TV. Now you gotta remember, those are all my players. And all the inmates are, it's like there's many, it's in this audience. We're all watching on TV. And I'm telling them everything that's gonna happen. They thought I was an expert. I thought, I know who's gonna come in and pitch here. I knew who they're gonna bring in to pitch. Luke Pinella did a great job. I don't know if I'd have won if I was still manager. You know, he had 2 or 3 players that I didn't have. Hal Morris, Rob Dibble, and Randy Myers. If I had those 3 the years I finished second, which was 4 straight, I'd have won the pennant every year. But I just didn't have the horses to get the job done. But it was fun trying. It was fun. Managing's fun because you're the boss for 25 players and 4 coaches. Okay, that's just the way it is. And you have one set of rules for everybody in the clubhouse.
Well, you're right. The great thing about Sparky, he knew how to manage people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, 2 gigantic alpha dogs, as you saw, Rose and Bench. They're apart in the clubhouse, probably by design. You were in the corner, and I'll never forget when Morgan got traded over. And Joe had been in the league about 7 or 8 years, so it wasn't as if Joe was some young kid coming along. Joe had a pretty good career in Houston, but he was the missing part. And one of the things Sparky did, remember, because Morgan had a reputation of being a little bit of a clubhouse lawyer, which means a smart guy, right? Who speaks his mind. That was Joe. And what Sparky did is he put Joe next to you.
To me.
So that energy field was going to rub off on Joe. And that was something to watch.
Yeah, Joe was the greatest. I mean, I remember when I first met Joe, I played against him when he was with Houston, but when he came to Cincinnati, I asked him, I said, Joe, I said, do you like to hit when the pitcher's in the stretch? You know, this instead of winding up. He said, yeah, everybody does. I said, well, see that office over at Sparky's office? You go in there and tell that son of a bitch you went ahead after me. Because I'm going to put the goddamn pitcher in the stretch more than anybody else. Next day, that son of a bitch was hitting second. So Sparky listened to him. I guess these people don't know what the hell it means, hitting second compared to eighth. I never hit below third in my life. In my life, I never hit below third. And I played in 3,500 games. 3,500. I batted 16,000 times. I think I made goddamn national anthems, I heard.
Including Canadian, too, because Montreal was in the league.
One year we had twice. Two national anthems. Oh, Canada.
Our proud and native land, true patriot love of a hockey. Pete, I got one question I've never asked it, but I've got to know this. We know addiction's a terrible thing. Drugs have, ruined a lot of lives. Drinking, the whole thing. Gambling has affected a lot of people's lives. In your case, it didn't ruin your life, but I mean, obviously it's a big part of what you went through. So, did you ever seek counsel or thought about going to Gamblers Anonymous at any point?
I went a couple of times. I didn't understand what they were saying. I didn't. I really didn't. I mean, maybe I didn't want to, but they should have been up on the soapbox. You have to understand one thing, ladies and gentlemen. Gambling cost me $100 million. That's what I'd have made in baseball if I hadn't got suspended. So I'm the one that got hurt the most. Me gambling on baseball, I didn't hurt you. I didn't hurt her. I didn't hurt you. I hurt myself and my family, and I was stupid. But I've overcome it. I overcome it. I think I'm saying to myself, if I'm a gambler, why not bet on my team? I'm running the goddamn show. I can make the moves. I never bet against my team. I bet on my team every frickin' night. That's the kind of faith I had in my players. And they didn't let me, I won a hell of a lot more games than I lost. And so in that respect, I was a respected gambler when I was betting on baseball, but I shouldn't have did it. But it was fun doing it.
Are you still holding out hope that you're gonna wind up in Cooperstown and not be on the side?
Yeah, I'm going to Cooperstown next month to
I
sign
know.
autographs.
I know. You do that, you know what I'm talking about.
Now, here's my deal on that. I don't want to go to the Hall of Fame after I die. Because the Hall of Fame is for your family and your fans. That's who really gets the benefit from an individual going to the Hall of Fame. I don't want to go to the Hall of Fame after they bury me. What good is that going to do my family? What good is that going to do my fans? Okay? If I'd have beat my wife, I'd already been in the Hall of Fame. If I'd been an alcoholic, I'd already been in the Hall of Fame. I just took the wrong vice. And I understand what happened in 1919 with the Waxhaw scandal. I understand all of that. And do you really think I'm the only player in the world ever to bet on baseball?
No, you're not now. They're throwing another guy out.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
And Alomar is in, and then he found out that he bet. So, I know.
I mean, I went through a period of time where I couldn't watch a sporting event on TV if I didn't bet on it. I had to have a root for somebody. I haven't gambled now in a couple of years. That's God's honest truth.
In a couple of years.
What
You
is
haven't
that-
gambled in a couple of years?
What's that created? I always got money in my pocket. If you don't gamble, you got money in your pocket.
How's your life
I don't
right now?
dislike people who do gamble. I got some of the best friends in the world that are gamblers. But I don't hang around with them anymore because it's not going to help me. Yeah.
A couple more questions, because they're going to give us the hook here in a second. But we're going to go overtime like soccer, right? And then to the shootout. What's your life like right now? What's your life like right now? You're living in Vegas,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, people say, well, God damn, you moved to Vegas because of the gambling. I moved to Vegas because that's where I work 5 days a week signing autographs. Doing 20,000 a day in autographs. Because how many people go to Vegas? And most of us, when you go, you have an extra
More
set
than
of
that,
cash.
come on, be honest.
If you don't, you better get your ass over there. That's the best place in the world. It's the most fun in the world. Best restaurants, best shopping. Airport's close to downtown. Hey, I love Las Vegas. I didn't move there to gamble. I moved there because that's where I worked. And I used to live in LA. Instead of driving, which I used to do every Friday and go home on Sunday, sign autographs on Saturday and Sunday, I moved there. I got tired of traveling, so I just moved there. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to live.
What happens there doesn't stay in there, right?
Absolutely.
Mark, quickly, episodes 2, 3, to 4 deal with just Cliff's Notes version of it.
Well, I mean, we span the career and the life. As you saw, there's a modern storyline of his life today, and I think that carries us through as well in terms of his desire to get back into baseball, the actions they take, and his gambling.
Well, I got a couple of things going on in my life today, Al. Pete Rose III is playing baseball outside of Jacksonville in junior college, and he's really good. And my other grandson, Juju, is 9 years old. He's the best player in the league in Vegas. This little son of a bitch can hit. I'm telling you, he can fucking hit. I mean, he's going to make the big leagues. I hope I'm around. I don't think I'll be around, but he just practices every day. He plays baseball. And my other grandson, Pete III, he's just a big, strong ex-football player that loves baseball. And they take after the old man. My son made the big leagues. Their dad one of their dads, and the other dad was a basketball player. So we got some. You guys are gonna get tired of hearing the name Pete Rose in your lifetime.
I'll never get tired of that.
No, I'll tell you this. I don't know how many people know that much about baseball here, you know, but to me, when I was announcing, you know, Pete with the Reds in 71 through 73, there was an unbreakable record. You couldn't break Ty Cobb's record, most hits in the career, 4,191. Think about this. If you had 200 hits a year for 21 years, you'd break it. Pete broke it. That was one of those things that just was impossible to break. You could not do that because it takes longevity, it takes will, skill, the whole thing. And just the desire to go out. And then the other thing with Pete, bad knees and all, he's got bad knees now, but he never missed a game. He was never...
I missed 10 games in the 70s.
Right.
That's 11 years.
Probably had a cold or something, right? I'll tell you this though, Pete.
Had a cold.
I've covered a lot of sports in the last 55 years. I've seen a lot of Tom Brady, I've had Michael Jordan, I've had Kobe Bryant, you name it. You're my favorite athlete to ever cover because you played the game in spring training. If the game was in the 7th inning and the game was over, and I saw you play that kind of a game, and then I saw you in the 7th game of the World Series, you played the same way.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Well, my philosophy is what? When I was playing a baseball game, if you people were at the game, I owe it to you who paid to get in to bust my ass and try to win the game. And if I don't, I'm cheating you as a fan. And one thing I never did is I never cheated the fans. You know, if it was 15-2, we're losing, I still played hard. If it was 1-0, we're winning, I played hard. That's the only way you can play. And that's the way my grandsons play. You gotta teach the kids today how important it is to win. How important it is to get an A. Don't get a D when you can get an A. Don't lose the game when you can win the game. Because believe me, if you got kids out there, grandsons, sons, daughters, whatever, and they're playing sports, don't tell me if you go to one of their games and they win, you don't feel better on the way home. If you don't, you shouldn't be going to the damn game. And that's the way you want the kids to feel. You want them to feel good about themselves. Not I got beat 15-2. I don't want to go home. My dad will whip my ass. That's just the way it was. And I got 26 or 27 major league records. Okay? And the best record I got, believe it or not, I played in 1972 winning games. That's a couple hundred more than the guy second. It's a guy named Carl Yastrzemski, who was a pretty darn good player himself. Think about that. 1972 winning games. If you win 100 games every year for 19 years, which is impossible, you're still 72 short. That's why you play, to win games. Does that sound right to you people? Don't you want your kids to win? You want your kids to get A's? You want them to get D's like I did? I was a bad student, but a good player. What did I do in school? Just enough to stay eligible. That's what I did. If I didn't attack school like I did baseball, I'd have been on the honor roll every year. I had too much time practicing. I practiced more than anybody. I was a practice-holic. I just loved to play the game. I loved to play football. I was too short to play basketball, but I still loved to play it. You know, I can go back and tell you stories about me playing baseball as a little kid. It make you shake your head. This guy was crazy. I was crazy about winning. That's the best habit you can get into, I think, as an athlete. Winning.
Well, before we start playing the music like at the Academy Awards, great job. Mark, terrific job. We look forward to watching the next week. I'm going to give you a participation trophy right now. For agreeing.
You've got 7 more minutes.
No, that's -7. We're 7 over. That's counting upwards
But
right
they're
now.
having fun because they're quiet.
No, you're going to get a participation trophy for doing this tonight and doing this whole documentary.
Let me ask you a
It's
question to
fascinating.
the audience, okay? Does anybody have an intelligent question they'd like to ask me? If you do, stand up. Yes, sir.
You should go to Tanzania if you want.
What do you say?
So then,
Santa Anita?
Would you go to Tanzania to relax?
would you go to Tanzania to relax?
Sit down, you asshole. I'm just kidding.
Why you down?
Listen,
I got a few of those during the process, so don't feel
I went to Santa Anita because it's the best racing in the world.
He thought you said Santa Anita, not Tanzania.
Don't forget, I went to Churchill Downs. That's only 100 miles from my home.
What's the great place too?
Yes, you ever been to a Kentucky Derby?
No, but I want to.
Well, don't be like me. I bet on a duck one time and the son of a bitch drowned. Yeah. That's a good one.
Try new ones out. We can end it on that note, but we've got to get some visuals of Tony, never mind, Tony Perez. We've been there, we've done that. What? I know, we get it. We get it. Perfect. Anyway, Pete,
He got the trophy.
no, I hope that someday you are in Cooperstown and not just on.
Hope it's you and I like that.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, ladies. Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you all for coming to the 2024 Uninterrupted Film Festival, an athlete storytelling experience. We want to extend a special thank you to our partners, Roku, HBO, and ESPN, and a very special thank you to our primary partner, Tribeca Festival. Please remember to follow Uninterrupted and Tribeca